All right, welcome back. We're going to cover two sections today. We're going to cover the skills sections and the education sections. Education is a broad term, including any kind of training, any workshops you might have gone to. I'll talk about how we can package those in your resume to show the employer what kind of value you're bringing and what kind of skills and knowledge you're bringing. Let's get started. All right, I'll go ahead and share my screen with you. We're going to start here. And if you notice right away, I don't think, look at, we're not getting quite the right spacing there. So if we go over to paragraph, we're going to see, we have something's not quite right here. We're going to put this at 0. We're going to put this at single space. All right, and now we're going to go to the next section. I said skills we're going to work on. Now, this could say different things. We could use a different header instead of skills. We could use core competency. We could label it what kind of skills. We're working with a medical assistant type of skill. So we could put those type of skills. We could say customer service skills, but in general, we'll leave that just as skills. So we're going to put a couple of different key words here. And now this is a perfect section to customize and tailor to whichever job posting you're working with. And so let's think of some skills that a medical assistant might need. And we can brainstorm this and kind of in two different ways, get some help. First, we can just go ahead and do a Google search. What are medical assistant skills? And we will see some words like this. And we'll also see the second way we can search out what skills are by looking at that job posting we're applying to. What are they listing in there? Oh, this one said that you need to be CPR certified. Okay. We will make sure we have those things. And of course, everyone needs Microsoft Word. Microsoft Word, which you are using this to write this resume. Or if your job posting has something like MS Word or Microsoft Office Suite, use that phrasing. Use exactly what they have on the job posting to ensure that they are catching that you have those skills. Now we're going to go over here to layout, then down to columns. And I want to make this, I think, 3 across, and that should give me 2 down. So I can do it like that, or I could go 2 across and 3 down. Again, we're going to go over to layout. We're highlighted the words that we want to put in columns, so it doesn't put the whole document in columns. We'll go ahead and leave it like that. And then later as well, we can play around if we want to put this centered in the middle, put the skill centered, but we'll leave it justified left right now. So go to the next section, education. I'm going to go ahead and bold that now. We'll put training here as well. So just as you're going to format and talk about your education the same way that you would your job. So in this case, we're going to say your associate degree in general studies is like your job title, right? And then where you worked or where you got this degree, we'll put excellent Delta College. We're going to put city and state. And then you're going to go ahead and put the year. Now, you notice I went to the next line up, and we're going to say the year was 2019. And I'm going to keep pressing enter or the space bar, oops, too far, until we get all the way over to our right. There's a couple different ways you can do that. I just find that that's the easiest and most reliable. And so this is a great opportunity. I think a lot of people miss it, is to put in some extra bullet points about what you were doing in school or something that might be relevant. So we have a degree here that's not specifically relevant to a medical assistant because that's a different certification, right? So we can think about what might work and what might be relevant to the employer. What would they want to know about? Popular phrase, coursework included. What did it include? We're going to say biology and business communications. Right. And so we're going to go one down here. And there's other ways you can use this space to demonstrate what kind of student you were. And unless the job posting says you need a specific GPA, I recommend you don't put a GPA in there, but talk about something that makes sense to show. We're going to show and not tell, right? So we're going to say raised $500. Oops. $500 for charity as a member of the Honor Society. So that really shows us, okay, this is an action that this person is doing. They weren't just in a club and went to meetings, right? They actually went and did something. And that's really important. And we know that they're on the Honor Society, so they probably have good grades. Again, that's telling us a little bit of story instead of just listing GPA. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take these bullet points all the way to the left. And this gives you more room on your resume. And it also helps the applicant tracking system read your keywords a little bit better. Sometimes they just go, we want those keywords to be at the front. They might only read a certain number of spaces and we don't want to take that chance. And so we're going to move on to the next part of this person had to get a medical certification to be a medical assistant. So how are we going to put that? We're going to put it the same way. Assistant certification is her quote unquote job. And this is bothering me. We're going to go ahead and capitalize degree so it's all the same. And then we would say who issued the certification. We're going to go ahead and go over here, and let's say that's a little bit more recent, 2020, and then space back, and then press in the space bar to go, oh, no, delete once, okay. Now you might see that these kind of are blending together. So we can do a couple different things. We can have this maybe italicized to show. We could have it bolded as well, but I think that's going to compete with our heading a little bit too much. So if we want to keep those italicized, you can certainly leave it at that. I don't recommend underlining because, again, the applicant tracking systems that can mess that up. And I do recommend using just the plain drop down bullets, not the arrows, none of these fancy shapes, unfortunately, as fun as they are. And again, we're going to talk a little bit about what did you do? What makes you different in your program than maybe somebody else? So we're going to say internship with the focus. Again, it's just something a little bit different. Oops. Now look at, we see this is like this and this is like this. We better come back. These are kind of the formatting mistakes we want to avoid. And just, again, completed internship in PI. Now you might be saying, Carmen, I have some other like workshops I went to, or some other trainings that's hard to quantify. We're going to do the same thing. And we can do that as well by bunching it together. We could say that you have a certified, what are we getting? The green belt project management, Six Sigma, right? Certifications are so hot right now. Certification in project. All right, and so again, we're going to call this Again, whoever issued it to you is what we want to do, is what we want to put here. And this is where I, whoops, we better put that all the way over. Move this up for you. I'm going to put it behind. Make sure there's no other spaces behind there. Go all the way over, and we're going to hit that bullet point again. And so instead of saying, I see this a lot in sometimes workshops, somebody said, oh, I went to this such and such guy's name, series of breakfast workshops. Well, we don't really know what that is, or these certain like lunch and learn series. Tell us, what did you get out of it? What was it focused on? So we're going to just, again, say received over 50 hours of training on project management best practices. And we could say contemporary best practices. We could talk about the software maybe they recommended or were trained to look into. All those kinds of things is what you'd want to say in this type of section. Your resume might not look exactly like this. So if your education is not the most important thing about your career right now, this can go at the end of your resume. It doesn't have to be towards the top. If you have just recently graduated from a certain program, then I would recommend putting towards the top. And when I say recently, again, if it's the most relevant part of your career, maybe 2 years-ish, we can move things again from the bottom, from other parts of your resume. Some people have college leadership experience. Well, that can just go under your education here. Eventually, maybe it doesn't need its own section later on. Maybe your internships, maybe they were really important at the time, but as you move on 2, 3, 4, 5 years in the future, let's put those up under education instead of in your experience sections. All right, I think I have covered everything I wanted to cover. Again, if you have any other workshops or other learning experiences, think about how you can kind of lump those together and group those together and give us a bullet point of why that's important. Some people also ask me about special rewards, recognitions. I don't necessarily encourage people to put a separate section for that. I think that putting that under your experience section usually works really well, but always make sure always make sure you are explaining why and what you got out of that experience, and not just putting such and such a club, such and such a workshop I went to, such and such a certification. So tell me a little bit more about it and make it earn its space on your resume. All right, so next section is experience. Let's go.